Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Lee at the Mac Post with me, Lee McClean, brought to you as part of Falcon Blues TV. Today I'm delighted to be joined by a well-known and respected television, radio and podcast presenter. She's graced our screens and airwaves on Sky Sports News and more recently on TalkSport Breakfast Show, and is also a notoriously passionate Brentford fan. Welcome and thanks for joining me today, Natalie Sawyer.
Hello. Nice to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
It's very good to have you, Natalie. Thank you. So as you know, this is a Everton podcast, and I know you're a big Brentford fan. So I suppose there's only one place to start, and that's your recent trip on Sunday to Hill Dickinson Stadium, where it's fair to say you give us a good old spanking, and outplayed us and won 4-2. Enjoy that one?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said I didn't. I was there, and it was one of those where as soon as the fixtures came out, you knew, I'm sure many Brentford fans, it's a new stadium. We all want to go up and see it. So yeah, I was so excited to come up, and it helps that we came away with 3 points, I have to say. But we had a thoroughly good time.
I bet you did. So I was going to ask, did you go? So you did. What were your thoughts on the Hill Dickinson Stadium then compared to, obviously you've been to Goodison? What were your thoughts?
Do you know what? So I've been fortunate to do a bit of work in Liverpool throughout the years, and so I saw the site of the local hotel nearby, which is very lovely. I've stayed at a few times, and so was seeing the progression of the stadium. Never really could work out how it was going to end up looking until obviously that I went at the weekend, and for me it had just a wow factor. I just think it sounds weird to say it, but I just think it's sort of stunning and wow and gorgeous, and I feel that's weird to talk about a sort of building, if you like, but I just found it to be really charming and just in keeping with the local area. I love the brickwork around the stadium. I just think there's so much that they've thought of, and it's just lovely. And I even like the little sort of, would you call it, like a fan zone-y area that was quite vibrant as we were walking through. So lot to like about it. I really, really enjoyed my visit there.
Yeah, but it's interesting because obviously you're someone who's well-travelled when it comes to football and sport, and it's interesting to get an away fan's take and perspective on the new stadium, because we've all got our own thoughts because we're making the transition from Goodison, which has been home for forever for us. So it's been very, very strange. But for a visiting fan, I mean, it couldn't be more polar opposite to the facilities that you used to at Goodison Park. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm not so glad you enjoyed it in the way that you did after 95 minutes. Everton weren't at the best on the day, but I have to say, and this is the consensus from all Everton fans coming away from that game, there were no complaints with the result. Brentford were very, very worthy winners, and you must, as a huge Brentford fan, as I know you are, you must be absolutely over the moon with the way you've started this season.
Yeah, it's still sort of a pinch me moment with what's happening, because having obviously won at your place like we did, and then I was at Brentford against Sunderland last night where we won 3-0, that with all the results it went our way really, and that means we're now 5th in the league, and I'm not in any way expecting us to sort of, and I do apologise for my dog if you can hear him snoring away. He's sat right behind me. He never leaves my side, and he's right behind me, and he's a right snorer, but I apologise for that. I don't know if we'll sustain it, because we obviously have tough fixtures coming up, but right now, how could we not love what is going on? It's just a joy right now to be a Brentford fan, especially for a team that many tipped were going to go down because of our new manager and that we'd lost a number of key players, and yet doesn't feel like we've lost anything with how we're playing and the results that we're getting at this moment in time.
I was going to say that. I've got that written down here. I was hands in the air, one of the people who feared for Brentford at the start of the season. I saw the list of the high-profile players that you lost, and you'd go through the names, Johan Wissa, and Buemo, Norgard, amongst others, lost. And then obviously Ivan Toney a little bit further back than that. You brought in Otara, I thought was a good signing from Bournemouth. Kyoto, Kelleher, Henderson, very sensible signings. Kelleher was a really good backup at Liverpool. I always knew he'd go on to become a really good number one somewhere. But then I looked at Keith Andrews, didn't really have any sort of standing as a manager until he took over at you guys. And there was a lot of noise around your club saying Brentford could be, in trouble this year.
Yeah.
And he has been so impressive when I listen to him. I think he sounds really impressive. He's clearly got your players running through brick walls and doing something right. But why not? I mean, you're fifth, sat on 33 points now. The league is wide open this year, I think, for someone. Why can't, from your point of view, why can't it be? What's stopping you? Why can't it be Brentford? Do you think there's an outside chance that you could sneak into like a European slot?
I think it's just the eternal pessimist in me, perhaps, which is not a great sort of person to be, I suppose. But I'd rather be that than think, yeah, we're going to get Europe and then we fall away and I get heartbroken. So
Like me, you mean?
Yeah, well, listen, I think a lot of football fans are like that. There aren't many football fans that, week in, week out go in thinking we're going to hammer these these teams and we're going to finish high up the league, etc., etc. So I think that's what it all comes down to. And also because I still think there are obviously some tough games to come for us. That's going to be quite telling in our season. But honestly, I mean, right now, the confidence I'm seeing in this Brentford team is it's just so exciting. They are so positive. And I'm sure we'll come on to Igor Thiago and his strengths, but
Yes.
so much to like about this team right now that I'm fully on board with. Let's enjoy the ride and see where it takes us. But I'm just trying to rein in my hopes just because I don't want to be heartbroken.
Yeah, I know you feel, but listen, what's football all about? We follow football. It's for the joy of it. It's for getting your hopes up, and then for them to be dashed as an Everton fan more often than not. But I was going to come on to Igor Thiago or Igor, I don't know how you pronounce it. So Everton, from our point of view, we've struggled to replace Romelu Lukaku, who left a decade ago now. So I feel really old saying that, but you guys seem to just pluck out striker after striker after striker from thin air. Igor Thiago's the latest one. So how do you do it? Obviously, you're close to Brentford. What's your secret? And if you've got the secret, can you share it with me? And I'll pass it on to someone within Everton, please.
Well, do you know what? Obviously, it all comes down to our recruitment and the fact that our owner, Matthew Benham, has this incredible sort of scouting network across predominantly Europe. I don't think we're not like Brighton, who seem to go into South America more. We have got obviously I say South America, of course. Igor Thiago is Brazilian, but we spotted him more in Europe than we would have done when he was in Brazil. It's just our scouts and our incredible data that we use as well. That obviously a lot of people always refer to Brentford as this Moneyball team and that we're just data driven, but that isn't what we are. We are reliant on data, but most clubs are these days anyway. But we also do our due diligence. We'll go and watch these players. We'll have videos of these players. They'll also find out about the players' background and, to ensure that those type of people that they want to bring to the club are actually the right type of people. Because, Thomas Frank used to say it a lot, and he always used to say, and forgive me for saying, but he'd always used to say, we have a no dickhead policy. And that's probably still the same throughout the club, regardless of the fact that Thomas Frank isn't here. So, I mean, Thiago had a whole season pretty much out last season through injury, which was a real shame because we were all looking forward to seeing him. And I remember watching him in pre-season of the season of last, where he got injured, and he looked brilliant. He looked so exciting. And then, as I say, he picked up an ACL injury and didn't really come back until late towards the end of last season. So this really is his first season in the Premier League. He's just a really special player. And I think what's really key, and you've sort of mentioned it before, Keith Andrews, I think it just has this brilliant relationship with so many of these players, and Igor Thiago is certainly one of those.
Yeah, it does. It comes across, and he's absolutely flying. And you mentioned Thomas Frank briefly there, Natalie, and you must look at what's going on at Tottenham now. I don't think it takes away from the calibre of manager that Thomas Frank is, and obviously he was magnificent at Brentford. But isn't it funny the way, if you had just told someone 5 months ago before the season started what would be going on at Tottenham now with Thomas Frank and how Brentford would be going on under Keith Andrews, you wouldn't have believed it, would you?
No, not at all. You'd definitely be saying it should be the other way around anyway, in terms of league placings currently. Yeah, listen, I think Tottenham is such a difficult club. We all see it. We all know it. Regardless of Daniel Levy now being there or not, as he is. You look at the likes of Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte, winners, prolific winners when it comes to their managerial careers, who just couldn't string a run of games together when it came to that Tottenham side, and certainly couldn't win any trophies with them. It breaks my heart because I love Thomas, and I will always love Thomas Frank because of what he did for us and the joy that he brought us for the near 7 years that he was with us for as manager. But yeah, it's just, I think Tottenham's a really difficult club for anyone to be involved in. And I'm sort of saddened that Tottenham fans haven't really taken to him, because I think if he was, and of course it's all based on results, so that's understandable. But, I was there saying he's going to be brilliant, and it's just not working for him at all. But it doesn't help that he doesn't have that creativity in midfield, no Kulusevski and no Maddison, there's only really Charlison that he's got in his lineup, and there's no Solanke. There's just so many issues up front that and that creative spark that they're missing. And I think what he's done is he's gone in there and looked at it and gone, our defence is the biggest problem, because they conceded a heck of a number of goals under Ange Postecoglou last season. He's probably thought, if I can fix that, then I can worry about going forward later. It's just he can't plug the holes that are in that defence still. So if Thomas survives, which I hope he does, he's going to need time, and he's going to need money to fix that defence, because right now I think it's just... Well, it's shocking, as we're all seeing.
Well, that's some summary, Natalie. Very impressed. You should get a job speaking about football. You're very good. You're very good at this. You're very good at this.
Listen, Tottenham fans might not agree, but that's what I think. Anyway,
it's hard to disagree with anything you've just said, I think. But it's interesting. Football fans are quite fickle, but it's never as black and white as it seems. And all of those mitigating factors you've just spoken about there are very, very true. What are the key differences you've noticed between Thomas Frank, who was brilliant for you guys, and Keith Andrews in terms of playing style, feel around the club? What have you noticed?
Well, do you know what? The funny thing with Keith Andrews, obviously when he was appointed the Brentford head coach, there were still a lot of Brentford fans, and I was sceptical because no one knew what he would offer. No, because obviously we only knew him as a set-piece coach. But then I heard what our sporting director, Phil Giles, had to say, or director of football as he's known. And he spoke about how we'd been watching him for quite a while, and that's why they felt like we had to bring him into the club anyway. And it's taken time for him, I think, to get this Brentford team playing the way he wants to play. But what that is, it's a team that plays with zip. It's fast paced. I do think we alter it depending on who we're playing. But, if we're countering, we'll counter with pace. We've got pace on the wings. You've got that front man of Igor Thiago, who he's not just, he can play either way. He'll go in behind, he'll ball to feet, whatever it is. He's a brilliant front man to have, who will cause problems. And as I say, the last couple of games in particular, all Brentford fans are now saying, wow, this is exciting football that we're now seeing under this new manager that we weren't expecting at the start of the season. And he's also playing players in their right positions, which I don't want to sort of diminish Thomas Frank, but Keane Lewis-Potter, for example, did a brilliant job as a sort of left wing back, but he was never a left wing back. He was more of a winger. But that was due to injury, and he did brilliantly. I will never say anything negative about him. But now we've got Rico Henry back, and we've got Aaron Hickey back. They're now in those sort of preferred roles, which I think just helps the team because players are playing in their right positions, and it's nice to see that as well. And yeah, like I say, it's just a team that I think right now are playing with confidence, and I think you're just seeing that with the results that we're getting.
Yeah, that's a topic that Evertonians are speaking about a little bit at the moment, Natalie, as well. Players in the right positions. I don't think you can underestimate that. We had an amazing result away at Forest with a depleted side, just going back a week or so ago, 2-0 away, where Jake O'Brien plays in the middle alongside James Tarkowski because Michael Keane was unfit. And Everton looked so much more balanced with Jake O'Brien in the middle. And a lot of Everton fans were really baffled at the choice when we played Brentford to put Michael Keane back in the middle and revert Jake O'Brien back to right back, where he's nowhere near as comfortable. And then he kept it last night, and all of a sudden we've got 1 point out of Brentford and Wolves. Brentford, obviously, no disgrace at all. You're up there and you're flying high. We've got no divine right to beat you at all. But Everton should be beating Wolves at home, bottom of the league. And it's frustrating when you can all see it, but it's not happening. Just do the basics right, and then also you've almost got no. You're not giving people any bullets to fire at you, so to speak. Yeah, but fair play to Brentford. Fair play to Brentford. You're absolutely flying, and you must be enjoying it. And long may it continue. I've got nothing against Brentford at all. Really well run family club, and it's nice to see one of the outsiders bucking the trend. I love all of that. Moving on slightly in terms of, well, I say slightly, a lot in terms of topic.
Yeah.
The PDC World Darts Championships just finished, um, and
That is hot topic.
you know where this is going.
Go on.
And everyone goes on about Luke Littler, but obviously yourself, you famously beat Darren Bent in the TalkSport Darts Championship. Any
Yeah.
plans to turn pro and have a little go next year, the Ali Pally?
I am very much an amateur and will remain so. But it is funny, isn't it? How when Wimbledon comes around, or when, as you say, the world's come around, you see suddenly, so like the tennis courts are filled, and suddenly people in the pubs are playing darts more regularly. It just brings something out of you, doesn't it? And darts is such a fun game. I'm useless. I really am useless at it.
So am I.
I try, but if I do happen to hit a treble 20, it's obviously done by luck and nothing else. But you can't help but just enjoy it because it's just a bit of fun. So it's always fun to get involved in our TalkSport one. And when I beat Darren Bent last year, as it is the year before now, it was great fun because it was such a shock. But then he got his revenge in our more recent tournament. So we might have to have a trilogy just to settle it. But yeah, it's good fun. I like it. And going to Ali Pally is great fun too. I did that this year too, and that was fun.
Did you really? You went this year?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'd love to go. I would love to
Oh,
go. But I was looking at the final, and obviously it was a bit of a whitewash, 7-1. And I was thinking, imagine getting dressed up to go for that, and you get yourself geared up for a full night on the beer or whatever, and it lasts 45 minutes.
No, I did that one. I can't remember what year it was, and I have a feeling it was a Michael van Gerwen win, but I cannot remember the score or who he played. But like you say, it was over so quickly that we got home and was like, well, let's just go to the pub because we were out. So let's straight to the pub because there was nothing else to do. But yeah, if you can go when you're guaranteed at least 3 or 4 matches, then yeah, that's worth going.
Oh, absolutely. It's on the bucket list for the future, 100%.
Great.
So also, obviously, you're a really well-respected journalist in your field, Natalie. My daughter's actually in college at the minute. She's an aspiring journalist. She wants to get into sports journalism.
Nice.
I was wondering, have you got any advice for young women, especially looking to make their way into this industry, and what challenges perhaps have you faced in the past?
Well, I would say, first of all, there is no better time to get into it, in the sense that there's all sorts of mediums that she can be involved in, or anyone can be involved in. So it doesn't have to be your mainstream TV or radio. Now you can do podcasts. Now we can do, so just have social media platforms. I would say that's a nice way to start, especially now that you're seeing a lot of social media influencers or people that have their platforms, are being used on TV. And that is a way of getting them that sort of, what am I trying to say? That is a way of just promoting yourself, isn't it? At the end of the day. And annoyingly, as in a lot of industries, a lot of it is down to who you know and making contacts. And that's something I did to get into Sky Sports News as I did. And I went in as a runner, and I would always advise that as well. I wouldn't say to anyone who wants to, if they want to be a presenter or whatever, or a higher ranked role, don't just walk in saying, that's what I want. Start at the bottom, work your way up, because 1, you learn your trade, and 2, I think you earn the respect of other people around you because they've seen that you've worked hard to get there. Now, of course, sometimes a job opens up and you get that job straight away, and that's brilliant. But I would always say, don't be shy to say, no, I'll make the teas and coffees. I'll start at the bottom. That's what I did. But like I say, the way I got into Sky Sports News was by finding out who the boss of Sky Sports News was, and basically hammering him with monthly emails until I kind of got an opportunity to join Sky Sports News as that runner, as I said. So, as I say, I think there's no better opportunity now because there's so many different variations of media that you can do. And as for challenges, I mean, obviously, when I was coming through, it felt as though you really had to prove yourself. I don't necessarily think that is as prevalent now. Not to say like you can't just think you can be, do an Everton podcast if you don't know anything about Everton, for example. But
it's never stopped me.
But you know what I mean? You kind of want people to be tuning into you because you're authentic and they believe what you're saying. And I still think that's obviously key to this day. But when I was starting out, you really, as a woman in this industry, had to prove that you did know what you were talking about, that you were a genuine fan. And there were some presenters that would come in that you knew weren't really football fans, let's say, but they were given an opportunity, and I don't blame them at all, because if you're told we want you to present on Sky Sports News, you're not going to say no. But I always just wanted to be believed. I wanted viewers to watch, and even now, listeners now, to go, she knows what she's talking about. I rely on her. She's authentic. So yeah, that's what I would say the challenges were, and I think that's getting better now.
Yeah, and from my point of view and everyone else listening, I'm sure that definitely came across with yourself. Very authentic, know your stuff. No, it's fine. You can have that one for free.
Thank you.
And I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast as well, that will just hammer down that belief. But and really great advice as well. I love all that in terms of the hustle, getting in there initially, not willing, not afraid to get your hands dirty. Really prove yourself. I love all that advice. I'll make sure our Isla listens to this, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of other, young girls listening to this. Not just young girls, but anyone listening to this looking to get into the industry.
Absolutely.
Brilliant advice. Really, really good. So obviously, you were at TalkSport. Was it for not TalkSport? Sorry, for Sky Sports News. You were there for 18 years. Is that right?
It was actually a little less than that. It was 16 and a half. But yeah, I was there a long time. My formative years, I suppose, when it came to my adult career. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, more recently, it's been TalkSport. So what are you up to now? Where and when can we hear you now?
So I am normally definitely on Thursday nights, where that's between 7 till 10, and that can sometimes be in the studio or I can be at games. So with Europa League football, for example, I tend to either be at Nottingham Forest or at Aston Villa if they're at home. Occasionally on Monday when there's no Monday night football, and that's when we have Danny Murphy and Darren Lewis with me, which is always good fun because we tend to review the Premier League's weekend action. And funnily enough, it always seems to fall on Monday on a day that Brentford have had a really good result on the weekend. I'm really positive and happy, and I was buzzing as I was on Monday after that game at Everton. And then, like for example, what am I doing? So this week I'm actually working Saturday because I'm at Macclesfield for their game against Crystal Palace in the FA Cup, and that's a lunchtime kickoff. And then I'm actually going to be at Liverpool for their FA Cup game against Barnsley on Monday night. So
really sorry to hear about that. Really sorry to hear about that, Natalie.
Do you know what? I love what I do right now. To be able to go to live games and just talk about the games, it's really good fun. I really, really enjoy it. Even though it's Baltic at times, and the last couple of games have been pretty cold. I was at, funnily enough, on what night was it? Tuesday night. I was at the West Ham Forest game, and although it wasn't too frosty in terms of the weather, it was frosty in the stadium because of what was going on, but it's actually it's just fun. It's fun to work at games. I'm really, really enjoying it. So all good.
Yeah, I bet you do. And you're in a really lucky position, but you've worked so hard for it. So good on you.
Thank you.
But yeah, our stadium, right on the river. I mean, we were all fearful of just how cold it was going to be in winter, but I wasn't prepared for this. Like this week, the game last night, the game on Sunday, I think it was 1 degree, but it felt about -5, -6.
Yeah.
So
but it is such a beautiful stadium. So that's all you have to keep saying to yourself. Although I do realise, and you said it before, about the transition from Goodison to Hill Dickinson is going to take time. And maybe, and forgive me for saying it, I'm sure you want to wrap things up, but it might be that it takes time for you to even make it your home. And that's the problem you have probably, because away teams can go there and think, well, you haven't made it your home yet. So it's kind of a level playing field, if you know what I mean. Whereas Goodison was one of the most intimidating places I've ever been to as an away fan. But because you just created such a brilliant, brilliant atmosphere. You are one of the best fan bases in terms of how friendly and welcoming you are, but not so much when it comes to kickoff, and it all changes.
Well, this is the issue, and this was always going to be the really difficult thing, because obviously I've been to Goodison since 1991 when I was 8, and to try and recreate that would have just been impossible. You look, for example, the Bullen Road stand. If an opposition team got a corner, Whoever was taking the corner must have absolutely hated going over into that corner flag and taking it, because there was just dogs abuse all the time. And I'm not advocating that, but it must have been so difficult for an away team player to actually play at Goodison, because when there was a bad refereeing decision or a bad tackle, it was like poking the bear, and all of a sudden it was like playing with 13 men, not 12. And of course, this transition to the new stadium, it looks amazing. Like you've said, all of the little touches, the nod to the heritage, to the dock site, to the hydraulic tower. It all looks absolute, and we're so lucky that Everton have pulled something so impressive off. But in terms of that home advantage, like you say, it's going to take a while to create those connections with the people around you, for it to feel like home. It's just not happening quite at the minute. And me and Dave, who I know you know quite well off the podcast as well, we sit next to each other, and we've been talking about this very topic, and it is going to take time. We've just got to be patient, because we have got a stadium to be proud of. But I just hope we get less results like Everton 2, Brentford 4 in the future. Sure, I'm not asking you to agree. But...
I was going to say, nah, that was all right, that one. That was good.
Yeah, well, honestly, Natalie, thank you. I appreciate all of my guests coming on, but I think you especially really, really enjoyed that. I've always been a big fan of yours. Love listening to you. You've been fantastic today, and I really do appreciate you sparing some of your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you. And for everyone listening, thank you as always. Keep an eye on our social channels at Falcon Blues TV for all information on latest podcast releases. We've got loads of stuff coming up for you. We appreciate your support. Keep your head up. Bad couple of results recently, but things will turn. We'll get Illiman and Die back soon, and everything will be bright and rosy in the garden again, I'm sure. Up the Toffees and Colin, Chong.